What's going on, guys? It's Filthy and I'm back with another video. Today we've got speed farm build for season 18 and this is the UE Farm Multishot. This thing's absolutely incredible at speed farming. You can wipe the screen on GR18 in about 2.5 minutes with only about 800 Paragon and a few augments. I'll show you how to scale the build upwards so that we can go another 5 or 10 rift levels higher, and we're also going to show you how to do T16 build. This suit's just absolutely phenomenal. It's really great for speed farming. Can't recommend it highly enough. Now, we covered the push build a few days ago, so I'll link that in the description. I'll also put a D3 planner link to the various progression stages of the speed farm. But as I say, guys, it's a lot of fun, and hopefully speaking, you'll be giving it a go. Now, before we jump in, I just want to say welcome to anybody who's new to the channel. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already done so. And as always, guys, a thumbs up is greatly appreciated. Now, it's taken quite a while for me to come up with what I think is probably the fastest way to speed farm at a reasonably high level. So my goal was to get to 80 in about 2.5 minutes, and this build pretty much will do it. That's really handy for solo Paragon farming. I don't group, so obviously I have to get my own Paragon by playing, so doing 2.5 minutes rifts, really nice for Paragon. It's great for getting items, great for getting primals, because the more rifts you can close, the faster. So that's kind of been the goal, and as I say, we can scale it up, we can go higher, we just have to change a couple of things, because for the 80 version, we're literally just concentrating on DPS. We're maxing out as much damage as possible. Once you get above a certain level, you're going to have to focus on toughness a little bit more, but we'll get into that through the progression of it. So just in case you didn't watch the UE push build, we're going to be taking 5 pieces of Unhallowed Essence, and we're going to be taking 2 pieces of the Captain Crimsons with the Ring of Royal Grandeur in a cube. Both sets get made up to their full bonuses. You're going to have to take the Captain's Belt, but you can choose boots or pants, so it depends whichever drops best for you. Now, UE basically will give you extra resource for the 2-piece, a 60% damage reduction and 60% damage increase on the 4-piece, and then Multishot deals 350% extra damage per point of discipline you have. So this is your discipline here. It works on how much is actually in the little orb. So if you've only got half the discipline, you're only doing half the damage. So you want to get max discipline everywhere you can. So fairly classic Multishot item, we're going to be taking a Yang's recurve. Multishot will attack 50% faster and have its damage increased by up to 200%. Very important, guys, on your bow, max discipline, need the max roll of 12. So you're going to take a Dead Man's Legacy. Again, this will give us a multiplicative increase and also hit enemies below 60% health twice. Again, max discipline on the secondary of 12. And we can actually get max discipline also on the chest piece, so again, I've only got 9, I want 12, I'm still looking for a better gear piece, but that's another place you can get it. Now, another multiplier we have is Squirts. This will deal up to 100% extra damage, provided you don't take damage. The trade-off is that when you do take damage, you get hit for an extra 50%, so it's kind of like a glass cannon risk and reward, but at this speed farm level, you'll just obliterate the screen. We're gonna mitigate the chances of something going wrong, but you will pretty much delete most things before they even get to touch you. So this buff is up quite a lot. And even if it does fall off, it kind of comes back in a staged effect. So the little icon's down here with 10, meaning 100%. It stacks up 1, 2, 3, 4. So even if you get to 3 or 4 stacks, it's still 30-40% extra damage. And I still think that's probably better than taking the Flavour of Time. So they're pretty much all the items that we would take for the push build. So what makes it a speed build is going to be the Echoing Fury. Now we're going to replace the Dawn in the cube with this. This will give us an attack speed boost that will stack up to 5 times. And at 5 stacks we get 75% increased attack speed. And when that's going off, you're just dumping out multi-shots so fast, it just absolutely wipes the screen. Now with such high attack speed, and particularly if you get a speed or attack pylon, your resource becomes an issue. So the rest of the things in the build generally are here to kind of mitigate that and try and give us a bit more resource. So with that in mind, we're going to take a Syndicate in the cube. This will give us a 30% resource cost reduction on all fire skills. We will be taking the Fire Rune. Now the Crimson set actually helps us out quite a bit with resource, because on the 2-piece we get 20% resource cost reduction. We also get 20% cooldown, which is nice. The 3-piece we get extra damage for cooldown, so the more cooldown we stack, the more damage we do. and also we get more toughness and resource cost reduction. Unfortunately, it doesn't work with the Syndicate. We don't get the extra resource, but we do get it off the Yangs. So your Yangs can roll up to 50%, so that's a really nice toughness buff, and that's what allows you to speed farm it at such a high level. It would be really nice if we got the extra 30% from the Syndicate, but alas, we don't. Now, Vengeance is obviously a very important skill for Multishot because the 10 hatred per second allows us to dump out the multi-shots very quickly. So we need to get Vengeance up as much as possible. Now, if we've dumped the Dawn out the cube, then we're going to have to take the Obsidian Ring of the Zodiac, and then whenever we hit with a spender, one of our skills will have a second reduced off its cooldown. So it's at random, it can be any of the skills. But with the playstyle, which we'll get to in a little bit, you're going to try and funnel as many of these back into Vengeance. So you don't have perma uptime on Vengeance, but you do have considerably high uptime on it. And you do have access to all your other skills because of this. So if you pop an ability, it comes back very quickly with the Zodiac Ring, so it is quite nice. And rounding out the gear, the other ring we're going to take is the Stone of Jordan. Now this importantly can get max discipline on the secondary, so again it's a nice damage boost. We get fire elemental damage, which helps give us a bit of a kick, and also 30% damage against elite. So this ring's not great for me. I'm looking to upgrade it, but it still helps us out with the damage. And lastly, we're going to take Nems. It's a speed build. We want the progression. It is very hard to do rifts in 2.5 minutes without Nems. The only downside is you'll find that your squirts will drop off quite a lot of the time when you click a pylon, because you won't be able to teleport away quickly enough without being hit. But it's still worth that trade-off, and I wouldn't take any of the braces. So legendary gem wise, we're just going for straight damage. So we've got the Bane of the Trapped, which will be procced by one of our passives. We're going to take a Zystone of Vengeance. So again, similar to the push build, the further we are away, the more damage we do. Again, this is really handy because it just allows us to wipe the screen from miles away. So at the edge of the screen, we're doing the most damage. And then a Bane of the Powerful, just for a little bit of extra damage and toughness. And obviously it kicks in once you melt your first elite or champ pack. And you've got it the rest of the rift, and it's quite nice. So looking at the skills, we're pretty much going to run with most of the push build items. We're going to change a couple of things around. So Multishot Arsenal, we're going to be taking that because it is the fire variant and it does dump out a lot of damage. I've left the generator on just in case you end up in a problem situation and you run out completely of hatred. You can generate some by using evasive fire, but in general you're not going to want to click this. Now, I did toy around with removing this for Fan of Knives or some other kind of skill, but they all either seem to cost discipline or have a cooldown. We don't really want any cooldown based skills because we want Vengeance up as much as possible. So I found with playing around with it that actually I just like evasive fire. Vengeance Seethe we've talked about. This gives us an extra 40% damage increase and generates hatred. So we want to use this on cooldown, so as soon as it's back up, press it again. Preparation and Invigoration, this will permanently increase our discipline by 20. That's very important for multi-shot because it means more damage. 45-second cooldown, it means we can restore 30 discipline. And because of the Crimsons and the amount of RCR we have, we can pretty much be at full discipline the whole time. So again, we don't really need to press this too much, but every now and then you just want to top yourself up with some damage. Vault Tumble, this is how we're going to get around. We get a 50% resource cost reduction for the second vault that we use, so it's kind of like one full price, one half price, and it kind of goes on like that. Again, with the RCR that we've got and with preparation, you should be able to get around the map pretty quickly, but you'll probably note from the footage that it is pretty much just a teleport, walk around, nail stuff, teleport, walk around, nail stuff, so the resource is fine. Now, Companion, gone for the back Companion. 1 hatred per second is handy, but this is essentially a resource potion on a 30-second cooldown. Now, because of the cooldown reduction that we've got, it comes back quickly anyway, but when you factor in the Zodiac, it's pretty much just there as a resource potion. So if we don't have Vengeance up, we can just pop this and get some more resource. Now, in terms of passives, I've left Awareness on because this is primarily for leveling up gems. You don't want to die. If you do, you're losing one of your guaranteed upgrades, and I just don't think it's worth it. You want to do these in chunks of 5. You want to get 5 gem upgrades every time you do a rift. So I personally don't take this off, but by all means you can do if you want. Thrill of the Hunt, we're going to slow enemies for 80%. This is going to proc the Bane of the Trapped, so pretty important. Ambush, we're going to deal extra damage to enemies that have got high health. This is great because it means that we can just one-shot stuff on full health from across the screen, and it pairs well with the Dead Man's Legacy, so if you don't one-shot it, it's then going to be taking extra damage beforehand and extra damage as soon as you get the life below 60%. And then tactical advantage, we've gone for the move speed, so 60% move speed whenever we vault. So again, you can run around the map pretty quickly. Now, you can take ballistics for some extra damage, so the rockets will deal up to extra damage. But again, I've just found that I actually quite like awareness better, just because it means that if something goes wrong, I'm not losing that gem up, which is frustrating. I want to get my augments as quickly as possible. So that covers the gear, skills and gems. For the suit, we're obviously going to be taking dexterity gems. We just want to wipe the floor with enemies. And then I've gone for cooldown in the helm, again, just to help out with vengeance uptime. But resource cost reduction would be fine here either. So, either one, whichever one you want to play with. Now, in terms of playstyle, as I say, you've got quite high uptime in all your abilities. So you just want to jump in the rift, wipe the screen, walk along and collect the orbs. Poison on the ground is a bit annoying. Grotesques blowing up, because you'll blow them up across the screen and then you'll probably teleport into their explosion. So there are a few things to watch out for, but it's a pretty smooth ride on 80. Now obviously if you had better gear, if you had more Paragon, this could probably speed farm 90 in the same time frame. And obviously if you don't have the augments and you're working your way up to ancient gear, well, it's still going to do fairly high levels, so maybe 75 or something like that. Now once you start going higher, what you tend to find is that you will die a lot more, because the enemies, as soon as they touch you, you're going to die. So that's when you're going to swap over to a more kind of traditional speed farm push quasi build. So as I say guys, when you want to go those 5 rift levels higher, your DPS is still pretty high, but what we're going to do is we're going to just take an extra toughness item. So we're going to go for the Visage of Goons to give us a 50% damage reduction. This means that we're going to put Dawn back in the cube, because we're going to take Focus and Restraint just for the extra modifier. Now these things do hit harder than the Stone of Jordan and the Obsidian Ring of the Zodiac, and once you're getting higher you do need that extra damage. So I tend to like this build for speed farming sort of 85, and then once I want to go up to 90, well, all I do there is I simply take off the Nemesis braces and I replace them with the Raps of Clarity. It slows the build down quite a lot, but it does give you that extra 50% damage. But other than that, you're pretty much keeping everything the same. You obviously would swap onto ballistics as well, just to get the extra damage. So as I say, D3 Planner Link, we've got the super fast speed version, we've got the next 5 levels up, and then the next 5 levels up after that. And when it comes to T16 and key farming, well, it's a pretty simple swap. We're just going to take the gold wrap belt and the Boon of the Hoarder, as well as an Avarice band, and that will just suck up all the gold on screen. And pretty much other than that, you can now take the cheat death off because you don't need it, so you can stick ballistics back on. And other than that, it's pretty much the same thing. Again, you're going to take the Dawn and the cube because you've dropped the Zodiac for the Avarice band. But again, as I say, fairly straightforward, and this just melts 75 obviously pretty easily, and with the gold wrap you're immortal, so it's really, really nice. So that's pretty much the setup guys. This suit is an absolute monster. As we said in the previous video, really good for pushing. I do think it's going to go quite far this season. Speed farming is amazing with it. You can get your gem levels up so quickly, get your keys very easily. Now, as I say, D3 Planner Link with all the stat priorities rather than having to read them off. So go in the description, find out what it is you need. So that's it guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for sticking to the end of the video. If you've enjoyed it, leave me a thumbs up and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.